Georgie girl is being very interested in this guitar. This is a client that gives me a lot of work, and this is his favorite guitar. I don't know what it is, but Georgie girl's dying to know what it is. Something about this bag that she really does love. Now, it's an opportunity also to say that people can love guitars even if they're not got the name Gretsch on them or Gibson on them. Your favorite. Why are you attacking me again? This has been ongoing all day. I don't know why. She's just in one of those little moods. I'm going to open this. Is that what you're saying? Right. You don't have to have a Gibson or a Gretsch or a Rickenbacker. Right. I'm going to open this case whether you like it or not. So the suspense. Right. I'm opening this and your little ass is going to be kicked off it in a second because I don't know what's wrong with you today. Come on, get your ass off this. Get your little ass off this case. Come on. Up off the case. Come on. Off the case. Right. Oh, I like the look of it. It's a Gibson. It's a Gibson Les Paul custom. And it's got a lovely fretboard. And this is going away because Georgie girl will play with it. Right, I like this. I like the look of it. Wonder why. I'm going to be speaking to him, but I wonder why he wants to change the pickups if those are original Gibsons. Pots aren't original, but they're in the top hat fashion of Gibson, which is very nice. They're wrong, but that's the idea of a guitar having a number 10 on it is for the guitarist to see. So the 10, and this is where the action should be. That's where the knob should be. You know, whenever you're going, that should be the maximum 10, 10, 10, 10, pointing at you, not pointing at the audience or away from you. But I like this. This looks nice. This looks nice. A little bit of buffing. Oh, that's just dirt. I like it. Okay. Oh, and it did have at one stage a pick guard. A lot of Gibson players take that off. Okay, let's have a good look at this. What we have here is a genuine 1959 Gibson Les Paul. And let me show you why it's a genuine Gibson Les Paul. Here's the other side, and the reason why it's genuine is because it says 1959. Now, the fact that they only had 7 numbers in 1959, don't let that fool you. This is a unique one-off model. Also, the fact that they dug this in so deep that it's really embossed, don't let that fool you either, because that's just a fluke of the factory on that date, and that they have made in the USA. Also, this is such a unique model that they didn't have Gibson tuners with the marks of the Gibson tuners on it. And they didn't use the tulip tuners that are famous for Gibson. So don't let any of this fool you. This is a genuine 1959 Les Paul. Let me show you more reasons why it's genuine. The other side, back again. You can tell it's genuine because, and this was handmade, because this Gibson logo is almost touching the binding and it's not centered. Now, most of the boring 1959 guitars had it centered. The boring 1959 guitars didn't have this logo, but this is a really unique one, and the logo's a bit small, but that was just because it's the way it was done. So don't be saying it's not a real guitar. And don't be saying that they didn't do those kind of covers in 1959, because this is unique. And this is a real, genuine Gibson, because handmade, because they didn't put the nibs on it. You know the way Gibson have a plastic nib going over the end of it? Well, not in this guitar. And also, for a very first time ever, it has inlaid flame going down this neck, which is not made of rosewood, it's made of hardwood. But don't let those things fool you, because this is genuine. Also, another good reason to find that this is genuine, Look how well made the casino chip is. Nothing's hidden on the treble. You can see the word treble clearly, and they're both evenly spaced. And look, just to fool you, they didn't use their serrated edge nut. They put in a hex nut just to fool you, right? And also the pickups, wonderful Gibson pickups. You know, you can, if you just look at a 1959 Gibson, you'll see that they have identical pickups to this, except for they had black screws and silver middles. But that's by the by. And also, you also look for a lovely round. Oh, well, there's supposed to be a wider thing there and a lovely round net. But this is a beautiful, almost Gibson's 1959 bridge. And this is oh, look, it's a Schaller. But I think Wilkinson, sorry, that's a Wilkinson one. But that was before Gibson renamed them to Gibson bridges. Don't look at them either. And the other thing that makes it Gibson is these top hats. Just so, they almost look new, don't they? They almost look new. So you can't fault them at all. So you believe me, don't you, that this is a genuine 1959 Gibson. Now, don't look at those plastic things, but even though they didn't use that in the 1959, this is special. You know, this was a special made. And I'll show you inside as to why it's genuine. And now we're inside. I am surprised to see the shielding. That could have been an aftermarket thing, but don't worry about it. Now, what you look for on a genuine Gibson is all these shielded cables. See the way they're all shielded? Lovely shielded. And that the capacitors are long and round and black colored. This is the newest thing this in 1959. These are all shielded, but it's invisible shielding. You can't see it because it's so far ahead of its game. And also the pots, because they got boards showing off, they took the name off the pots that said Gibson across them. So, but they're all genuine, right? And in this one, they decided to go a little bit wild and use a more modern three-way switch and not the boring old standard thing. But this is 1959 still. The old Gibson switch, which wasn't that good, you know, was lousy sort of thing, you know. This is much better, and it doesn't say made in China on it. Does not say that. But I think now you know that I wouldn't fool you and I wouldn't lie to you. But this is so genuine that it oozes genuinity. The other thing is to look for with a genuine 1959 guitar is that they never did them in black, but this was just specially made for 1959. Of course, you know I was talking utter bollocks. You obviously know that. I was running... Georgie girl, stop it. I'm going to talk to the camera whether you like it or not, so stop it, 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 stop it. She's fighting with me. She's doing that all the time now. Clearly it's a Gibson, but it's a lovely player, right? It's got a large underbow, just enough for a cracker with no cheese on it. But the things obviously to look for fake is that Gibson head, far too close to the binding. That's what stuck out to me first. And if you look, being very nasty, if you look at the head, one of the things to look for, you see it between the B and the S. I don't know whether you can see that. Let me just show you. It's just something to look for in our genuine Gibson. If you look at between the B and the S, that's more of a rounded. Gibson have it up and sharp down. It's more like a cutout than it has a rounded aspect like that. Gibson, they do flame neck on a rare anniversary guitar, but not on a standard black. They call it a custom Les Paul, but it's not. And also you know everything else. But my job on this one is to make it even look less like a Gibson guitar. I'm going to take all the strings off it, take all the tuners off it, replace the tuners, replace the wiring, and replace the pickups with EMG pickups. Because the guy who owns this, it's his favorite guitar. It's a lovely guitar to play, and he wants to make it better because these pickups are probably just cheap Chinese junk and they just make a noise. Should I play the noise to let you hear it? Okay, let me play the noise to let you hear it before I change them out. But let's just see what we got. I'm changing everything out, even the jack. Right. Oh. If I get, I know it. You know what? It's making a noise, it's making a loud noise. So we might be able to use those for something else in the future. But there's something wrong with the switches for sure. Could be just dirt. But it's making a noise. Right. So let's get rid of these strings. And people tell me, you should loosen the strings before you cut them. And I say, why? It's more fun to cut them and let them fly about. Now the owner has already replaced this part with a good Wilkinson tailpiece, which is very nice. Another thing to look for in a Gibson is that volume knob should be above the edge of the tailpiece, but that's hard to spot at times. So there you go, those will come off easily because the owner knows not to tie knots in them. Do you tie knots in your strings? If you do, tell me why, because I just don't understand it. But there's a whole lot of other things that give this away as not being a real Gibson. Well, that's loose. Well, it's funny that, isn't it? Because if you look at that there, or you should see this here, two screws, which is Gibson-like. They usually have three, but in this instance they only put one screw up there just for look, because they wouldn't want to put one on each side of the truss rod gap. And the Gibson, it has the gap there, so you can put the wood there, so you can put this second screw in, sorry. Should only have two screws, and that's quite good. But again, so let's have a look at the pickups. Come on down, Nick. Come on down, have we look at the pickups. They're very much worn away, and not sure why. I'll just shut up now while I take off these screws, because nothing more boring. Right, it says bridge, and it says nothing. Doesn't say neck there. Different types of pickups, because you can see the screws there, and you can't see anything there. But they're coming away like love. I was actually expecting it to be more badly wired than it is. It's actually not wired badly at all. When I did my fake crappy pretense, which was completely fake and crappy, I was hoping to see a much worse wiring job inside than I saw. But the fact that it's been done with shielding is very good. There's some bits missing, and I'm just going to rip it all out because everything's on sale. Everything's going. Right, take these pots off. I like finding little things like this, because when you find little things like a plastic thing that'll go underneath it and not damage the thing, it's worth keeping. Old look feel, and that pickup that he wants to, that jack socket he wants to put on is not old looking, but this one will be. So I'm just going to cut this here. Right, okay. I'm going to cut this here. I'm going to do the same with the three-way switch, just cut it. Okay, and obviously, as you know, Gibson don't do hexagonal screws on their casino chips. They use a serrated. They use a serrated screw, which you tighten with your fingers. So, and also, my little comedy piece at the beginning. The casino chips on Gibsons are very fussy on them. They should be perfectly centered and perfectly distant, equidistant from the switch, but that looks like it's been glued on, so we'll see. Right, so this should all just pull away now, except for the jack socket, which I'm going to leave. Oh, right, I've cut that already because that goes to the switch first, doesn't it? And then this should pull out except for the earth to the body, which goes there. And that's the loom. The loom, come on. I did, oh no, you're going there, right? Yes, you, and you. Right, okay. And you're all coming out, and you're out. They'll do somebody someday. I'm going to put them all in the same box. And just pull this away too, because I don't need it. So it's a naked guitar now with, that's the earth to the bridge, and that's the, they haven't quite done the shielding as well as it could be done, so I'll add a little bit more shielding to it. But it's not awful. I'm not complaining about it, it's not terrible. So we're going to take off the tuners at the top, and then we shall have a naked guitar. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Gibson used Schaller manufactured tuners for a long time. But I think I read that somewhere. But you can correct me if I'm wrong. Am I ever wrong? Am I ever wrong? Oh. The other thing which I was mocking about is that's so ingrained deep into the wood. It's just ridiculous. Gibson, sometimes you can hardly see the indentation of the serial number into the wood. And also they only had 7 numbers in 1959. And this guitar style is a 1970s guitar style. So why they stuck the serial number dating 1959 on it is sort of a bit of a silly Billy thing to do, because it stands out like a sore thumb. Okay. Oh, I was given that today, which I fixed. Remember the guitar that had the zebra stripes on it, the Les Paul lookalike? Now the man makes these things, and he makes it out of driftwood and the things that he finds on the beaches, and I love it. That's a little bit of wood in the shape of a cap's body. These, if you look closely, they're nails. They're just nails that are bent with the heads down. And these things are, that's another piece of wood that's been carved a bit. Little beads that he found on the shore and little bits of wire. And I love those kind of things, because that's just a couple of nails and a piece of wood. And I think that's really wonderful. I do think that's wonderful. And that's a piece of parquet flooring he found. Wonderful. He's put a inscription on Georgie Girl by Matty, and he's dated it. I love it. I really do love it. So thank you very much, Matty. Okay, so that's me now with a naked guitar, and the next part to do is guess what I'm going to do next. Guess what I'm going to do next. Just think. Well, okay, thinking time is over. I'm going to get the neck right, make sure the neck's flat, and that everything's right with the neck, and that the truss rod's working okay, because it has an underbow on it. Can I show you the underbow? Let me just see if I can show you the underbow. Is there a way to show you it? Come on down, come on down. Let's just see if... I must develop a way to let you see what the underbow's like on these guitars. Oh, well, there's an underbow there. You can see it roughly where my fingers are, but it's not as bad as it was. Well, the fact that it's changed when I took the strings off meant that the strings were pulling it and it was pushing the underbow down. And if it was doing that, it means that this truss rod wasn't touching the wood. Sorry, it meant that the strings were pulling the neck down, and it meant there was no support for the wood, so the truss rod needed to be brought up anyway. So I'll test the truss rod next. But at this moment in time, I'm going to have a little bar of chocolate and I'm going to sit down because it's 9:30 at night. All right, cheers. One may be surprised to find that it is now 4 days later and I'm not much further on. But I have got a bit further on, as you can see. So I'm almost ready to start wiring. The tape over the holes is because of Georgie Girl. Because I've been struggling with my head and sinuses this last few days, so I've been not really on best form to work. But before I got hit with my sinus condition, I put the wiring in from the switch to the main circuit area, and Georgie Girl decided she wanted to pull it all out. So I had to do it again, so then I put tape over it. But now I'm at the stage where I'm going to start soldering it all together, and the switch is in, and I'll do this end first and get the switch done, and then I can seal that end up, and I'm not so worried about her getting down at this end. So that's what my plan, that's what my cunning plan is now. There is no point, you can see where I am. When I had the sore head, sore eyes, sore sinuses, I revamped all my potentiometers and got my stock out, and I got even more over here, and I got tested them and all that there. So now I'm going to get down to wiring this guitar. But there's no point in showing it on camera because it is so boring. Somebody going with a shaky hand. I don't have a shaky hand. Alright, come back to you when I've got it ready wired. Well, believe it or not, this is 2 days later. I had the thing completely wired, but I couldn't get it to work. And there's a complicated reason why I couldn't get it to work. Well, I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to work. Is that if you look in there, let me just move this. If you look in there and you were to look closely, you'll see that the holes are drilled too close to this edge, which meant I had to try to use the smaller pots as opposed to the proper pots that these guitars use. So that meant that I was much more fiddly to wire. But if you remember, it was all shielded, but it was shielded in a lumpy fashion. So these smaller pots tended to touch the shielding. So one of them's right close to the edge and it was slightly bent over. And I tried my best to get these pots to work. That's too close, that's too close, and that's too close to the edge. So what I'm going to attempt to do, hence the reason why I've got this thing out, is I'm going to use one of these and re-drill these holes close to the edge as I can so that I can get the proper size potentiometers in there. And that one could be alright. I may need to take a little bit of that off, but then I would be able to fit the potentiometers in without the issues. But also what I've discovered too is that whoever did this is a Gibson, right? Whoever did it didn't do it greatly. So there was very thick there, very thin there. So I had to take away quite a bit of the wood in there with a screwdriver because it's very soft wood. So what I'm going to have to do is level that all out and make it all the same thinness so that we don't have that issue with the shielding touching the end of the potentiometers. That's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking, but I will take my time very slowly. Now what I'm going to do, as you can see from this mess, I'm going to get this place tidied up. Is one of them missing? How could one of them be missing? Couldn't be missing. I don't go anywhere with these things. I might have just taken it out. Anyway, going to get this place tidied up and the semblance of a bench again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this half of the video because it's been 2 weeks that this has been on, well, 10 days this has been on my bench and I haven't had any videos out. So I'll let you see where I am to here, and then the second part will be me reaming these out routing all the body out properly and wiring it and getting it running. So until next time.